So let's talk about these different paths. First, let's talk about abroad. Let's talk about his international connections. What are those looking like?
Yeah, we highlighted a couple of these international entanglements in our piece. So the first thing that jumps out is the Trump Organization has a recently minted deal with a Saudi real estate firm and the government of Oman. This meshes well with the idea that a couple of our sources told us that the Middle East is a promising place for Trump to potentially raise some cash. One of our sources even called the Gulf states the new Wall Street. And then I'll also note that Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, his private equity firm received a $2 billion cash infusion from the Saudi sovereign wealth fund shortly after Trump left office. So I think that there's the family has multiple connections over in the Middle East that I think could potentially be leaned on here.
I think the time that we're in right now is an important caveat and something important to talk about with you now. We're sitting in the beginning of 2024. We are in the middle of a presidential election year. Talk about the potential conflicts of interest with working with an international lender.
So the basic idea here is that President of the United States is the commander in chief of the U.S. military. He's the representative of the United States abroad. He's the most senior policymaker when it comes to diplomacy. And if the president of the United States also happens to have financial entanglements of one form or another in other countries, you get into some questionable situations. Are those other countries able to use those financial entanglements as potential leverage over the president in various diplomatic negotiations? You don't really know what that could look like. It's more a question of avoiding those conflicts whenever possible. Tends to be what ethics experts encourage.
So now let's set our sights domestically. And in light of Wednesday's ruling, can all U.S. banks technically lend to Trump now?
Yes, as of right now, there are no restrictions on which banks can lend to Trump. With that said, I just want to emphasize again the uncertainty that is inherent in all of this. And I think a lot of banks this isn't a legal restriction, it's more of an environmental restriction of some kind, basically saying we don't know whether we want to get involved in this whole situation.